All right. Hello, one
Episode
and
12.
all. Episode 12. 12 is a very good number. Apparently, it's
Why is
sort
that? I
of
don't know.
I don't know. I'm making it up as we speak.
Oh, is it? Is
I'm
it?
just assuming. I'm just
Oh,
assuming because it's before unlucky number 13. So I guess I don't.
oh, I thought you were gonna bring up a story, back in the day, back in ancient times. 12 is it's a special number. You know how the clock ends at 12? Has
Oh, I
something to
didn't
do with time.
talk to me.
Thought
I
you
don't
were
know about
gonna.
this.
I'm making some shit up too, but
You're making it
it
up
would have
to.
it would have been a good would have been a good story if if you just if you went along and added
Oh,
more stuff to it, added more
you
color.
should you should have just kept going. I would have picked it up. you know. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, subscribing, whatever you do. If you're
Mm-hmm.
still not bored of
Oh, and,
listening
and
to
thanks for
us,
liking the our Facebook page, because I noticed a lot of our
yes,
friends um
yes,
followed us. So thank you.
yeah. Well, appreciate the support.
Um yeah.
All
Anyways,
right, let's get into it.
let's get into it. So
All right, you anything exciting to happen to you this week? You want to start with
um
yours?
nothing much other than work. I don't really have much other than just
Yeah.
work. I don't have
Mm.
nothing. But I think you have something. Because
What?
remember from our last conversation, you had an interview lined up.
Mm-hmm. You
For
want me? You
yeah,
want me to
so
go ahead and get started with
yeah,
mine?
yeah.
All
Let's talk
right.
about yours because I've got nothing.
Okay. Well, before I do start with my story, do you hear something? A sound coming from my end?
Not really, no.
Okay. Good. Because just a little backstory.
Uh-huh.
The whole for 2 hours before we started recording this, I've been playing this game called Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
Oh, nice.
and it's on pause right now. And so I hear like the
The background
Athenian
music?
like yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
it's a
I wish
it's
I
a
could play.
Greek music.
Man, I wish I could play that game too. It's just that I don't. Uh,
Yo,
yeah.
it's so good.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks for
so
rubbing it
addicted right
in.
now. I'm so addicted right now. Anyway, so I
Uh-huh.
was just wondering if you could hear that, but since you don't,
No,
that's
I
good.
can't.
Okay,
We're okay.
okay.
Anyways, continue with your story.
So just getting into it, just to preface the story, last week I said that I had two interviews lined up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had one for this state, which is Georgia, and one
Yeah.
for Florida.
Yeah.
The one in Florida fell apart.
How come?
I had an email last Monday, like the
Mm-hmm.
couple of days after we recorded, saying that they rescinded the offer, like they weren't hiring anymore.
Mm.
So I was
Mm.
like, okay, I guess.
Okay. That sucks, but
And
it's okay.
yeah, it's out of my control.
Right.
And the second one, when I pre-screened for that
Mm-hmm.
job posting, the recruiter or the HR whatever person told me that, okay, we're gonna send you an email for like a link invite for the interview, like a Zoom
Mm-hmm.
meeting,
Yeah.
whatever. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was waiting for that for the whole week, right?
Never came?
Never came. Wait, don't say
Okay.
anything yet.
All right.
Never came. So I was like, what the heck? So like both of my like things like fell
Right.
fell apart.
Right.
So it was scheduled for Wednesday, right?
Okay.
The actual interview
Interview.
was scheduled for Wednesday. It's Wednesday 2 o'clock, whatever.
Okay.
So come last Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
woke up in the morning, checked my email, nothing.
Okay.
I was like, well, thanks,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just like left it alone. I'm
Felt
like, all right,
disappointed?
well,
Okay.
yeah. I'm just gonna apply at more jobs,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I was playing Assassin's Creed
Uh-huh.
like that afternoon, and
Uh-huh.
then I get a call. So
Mm-hmm.
and it's an Atlanta number. So, of course I answered it, and it
Uh-huh.
turned out to be the
The
main
interview.
HR person. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
she was like, is this Ralph, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, speaking. Well, this is blah, blah, blah. And we were waiting for you to join in the Zoom meeting. And I was like, what Zoom meeting?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so apparently what had happened was they sent the link or the email, and I didn't receive it.
Uh-huh.
They sent it a couple of days before that, like on a Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and I just didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So she was like, uh well, I was like, oh, can you resend it or whatever, like trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, it's okay, we'll just go ahead and interview you on the spot on the phone right now.
Okay.
So I was like, oh,
Okay. Okay then.
okay, okay then.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had forgot, like, I just want to like paint my mindset through all this. Like, I had kind of forgotten all about it. I was
Well,
just
of
enjoying
course.
my Yeah, I was enjoying
Of
my
course.
game.
Yep.
I wasn't thinking about it, and I had an interview on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly did as well as someone who's unprepared could do it.
Meaning you
You know,
flunked it
I
or
No, I thought I did good. I was just I was just honest with
uh-huh.
the questions that she was asking me. It's a lot of like situational stuff. Like, do you
Right.
do this with a patient? Blah, blah, blah. Have you done this,
Mm-hmm.
with a specific situation? Like,
I like those kind of questions though. I don't like I've had those kind of questions too. And some difficult situation, right?
right.
It because then it gives them an idea of your character. What kind of
Yep,
character are you? Right? Like, yeah.
exactly. So,
Um,
so I think that suited well for someone who's kind of caught off guard. Those kinds of questions, you know,
right. But you can
since
only
since
prepare so much though. That's what I noticed.
yeah. And that's the thing. You kind of hit it a little bit on the spot. I kind of felt good going into that interview without any pressure. Like,
Uh-huh.
there wasn't any like build up in my head. Like, all right,
No
I
one
gotta
saw.
do
Yeah,
this one.
yeah.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like on the spot for real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm honestly, I wasn't like looking back. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I did well I did well enough to the point where I did good because I was unprepared and I still did good, right?
Right.
But as far as actually getting the job, I'm not sure, to be honest.
Well, first of all, the fact that you didn't get the email and that they're waiting for you says something already. So that put them. I think that puts them in a different. It leaves an impression, right? I know it's not your fault because you didn't receive the email,
Exactly.
but the fact that you made them wait for you
Right.
um, is something, right? It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
guess this guy's not that interested.
Yeah. It kind of doesn't.
Um,
It doesn't bode well.
yeah. Although it's again, it wasn't your fault because you didn't receive the email.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Um.
I
Yeah.
know what it's like because back when I was in Toronto, you know how I kept applying every fucking day. And then out of nowhere, I received this phone call. And it's a phone interview, kind of like a screening call. And like yourself, I was unprepared too. And it didn't go well. He asked me a lot of questions. I didn't really know how to answer them. I blabbered. You know how sometimes when the person's quiet on the other end of the conversation, not the conversation, on the
Mm-hmm.
other end, on the other side, you tend to talk more when the other person's quiet, right? Because you're trying to
Right.
explain more of what you're trying to say. And it,
But you end up just blabbering.
well, that's the thing. And you know why you blabber though, right? You blabber because you're thinking while you're talking. And at the same
Yep.
time, you're asking yourself if the person on the other end understands exactly what you're trying to say. So you spend probably, a few more of those minutes to reiterate or clarify what you're really trying to say. That makes sense.
It makes
It's
sense.
and that's when the other person sees that, then they'll know that you're probably nervous or again unprepared. and it says something about your confidence too, right? Because then if you're experienced, you you you're still, I think you're still able to answer the questions properly, as opposed to someone who hasn't been into a lot of interviews. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
It
that
was
sucks.
yeah. It does suck, but I try to learn from every as as with everything. I'll try to learn from the experience. And one thing I did realize is that doing this, you and I
Mm-hmm.
on the spot, just talking and like really no preparation,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of it well, not kind of, it actually it helped me speak
Mm-hmm.
better during that interview.
Right.
Like as far as just my mindset and how I try to speak as clear as possible and not like
Mm-hmm.
like uh well
You know what I mean?
which you know what I mean. Yeah, I was like I was it wasn't, and it was kind of, you see, it was like a little bit second nature that I was like in my head. I was very conscious of not filling those little.
Mhm.
What do you call those things? Like a filler? Are they like filler
Filler
words?
words, right? Filler
Filler
words,
words.
right? But it requires some practice though, right? Because if you
It
were to go
does.
back on our first episode, I did a lot of that because I'm thinking, right? It,
But really don't need to fill the space when you think. It's. I think. What do you think that comes from? Is it more like courtesy
no,
because
I think a
you?
lot of us. Here's an experiment. A lot of us don't really. A lot of us like to talk, right? And a lot of us are irritated by the silence, and so we try to fill it with noise as much as we can. So if you talk to someone and kind of like what you're doing now, if you're just quiet like that, that to me is a prompt that I should keep talking because I want to fill in the void. So now, the I wouldn't say competition. Uh, the thing is, now I'm gonna have to wait for you to cut me off. Right? When we're talking like this, I'm waiting for you to cut me off, and as soon as you cut me off, that's when I shut up and let you talk, let you speak, and
Yeah,
then
but
yeah, go ahead.
for example,
Right. Yeah.
just happened.
Right.
But when it comes to podcasting, and I mean not just podcasting, but just in general, like
General
leveling up in
conversation.
your conversation, we we have to kind of learn to pass the ball around with, especially with cues,
Mm-hmm.
because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be interrupting each other to switch who's talking. Does that make sense?
It, uh, yes, I wouldn't call it interrupting though, because sometimes when
Yeah,
you
you're
remember
right. It's not.
something,
Yeah, it's not an
right,
interruption,
you
but
you jump. Yeah.
it's better podcast. It's better like material if we're a lot smoother with our transitions.
Right, and it comes with practice, right? It all boils down to that, because then the more you do it, the more you become aware of how you're saying it, and and um, see, I just said again because I'm thinking. You become more self-aware with practice,
Right.
and it just really boils down to that.
There's another thing that I don't really notice it a lot from you, but I do notice it like with me,
Mm-hmm.
like that, like confirmation sounds. That's actually not very
I did not
good
even notice.
podcast. Yeah, like podcast material. Like, right. Uh huh. Yeah. Like agreeing.
Mm.
You can just stay silent when we're talking without. Uh huh. Yep. Right. Yep.
But see,
Besides,
mm-hmm.
when it's you're about to probably transition to your when it's your turn, you can kind of. I mean, that's just what I've kind of observed, just watching or listening to like different shows and different podcasts. It's a lot more
Mm-hmm.
clear. It's a lot more. You did it again.
Well, Well, here's the thing. When it comes to conversation too, I guess it really depends on who you're talking to. But when I'm talking to someone, I nod or say yes because I am agreeing, right? And if you say something that I disagree with, that's when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be like I guess my body language would say I, I would have the urge to interrupt if I'm if you said something that I'm like I don't really agree with what you're saying. So then that's when I try to jump in and cut you off. It the and that's just I guess that's just how I do it to tell the other person that yes I'm listening.
It's not just you. It's I'd say it's a normal
Right.
people thing. But what I'm saying is, as far as podcast material, it's better to not.
Well, I
And
guess so. And
as far
well,
as your point, as far as your point, when it comes to when you're disagreeing with someone, you kind of have that urge to say something.
hmm
I think let that be a lesson to everybody, you and I both, that when you disagree with someone, it it's probably better to let them finish their point and their thoughts before you fully disagree. Does that make sense?
it
Because
does make sense.
they
Because
might be taking you to a trip into their experience to where you're disagreeing on like the middle part of their point when they haven't even finished, and then you look like a dummy.
that's the basics of negotiation. What you just I don't
Or
know if
conversation.
no yes, but when it comes to I think I read that somewhere. Like you have to wait for the other that negotiation or debate. Like you have to wait for the other person to make their point, and you
That's
have
debate.
to
Yeah.
listen and and instead of trying to figure out how you're going to respond to what the heck he's saying, well, learn to absorb, try to absorb what he's saying first, then come up with a solution after, or come up with a comeback. It,
Yeah.
it, most people are like that anyways, right? They don't let the other person finish because they're too excited to share their piece, right? It's
especially especially if it's a multiple people conversation, if it's more than one person and
mhm.
you kind of don't have a lot of chance to speak for yourself when it's your turn, you kind of just want to like extend your time as much as possible by talking more,
I guess so.
or you
It
know
depends on your personality,
getting
right? Like if you're an introvert, like sometimes at work, I don't talk as much, and I try to you know, try not to say as much as possible. So the more you talk,
yeah
the more chance of you saying something wrong to. It's just me. I guess
right.
it's a tactic or a strategy when it comes to, if in a professional environment, if you don't want to look dumb, then maybe you should just shut up, and when you're ready to say something useful, then that's when you talk. But if you don't really have anything valuable to say, then just listen, right?
You're
And
right.
absorb what everyone's talking about.
It's just different. It just depends on the personality. But yeah,
Exactly.
just I want to take it back just to the original point of this conversation. Yeah, so I am back to zero when it comes to like the job hunting. The hunt is still on. You know, it's still very
Well,
aggressive tactics.
the thing is, how often do you do this anyways, right?
Do what?
Look for a job.
Oh yeah, very. I mean, if you're
That's
the type of
exactly my point.
if you're the type of employee who sticks around, then not very much.
So then how do you
So
so that's the reason why some people say, yeah, I suck at this, I suck at that. Well,
that's
of course,
probably a
because
good thing. Yeah.
right. Well, of course, because you rarely do this,
Yeah.
right? You're a loyal employee, and that's why you rarely go to interviews. But for
Exactly.
someone who quits a lot and job, hops from one job to another, then you become better at it, right? It's one of those expectations, I guess, about yourself. How how you can't expect yourself to excel at something if you rarely if you real if you're not even doing it that often. If you rarely do it, then you can't expect yourself to be good at it. Everything comes with practice, right? You can be the best conversationalist, but probably because you talk to a lot of people, right? If you're an extrovert and maybe your last job was to call up, maybe you're in the telemarketing industry, then maybe it's much easier for you when it comes to interviews because you're good at talking. It's the same thing. But yeah.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I'm not that affected by it. I'm still next week will be like the first month. So it's been 4 weeks. I've decided to expand my searches
Mm-hmm.
to I'm casting a wider net as far as the
Mm-hmm.
places where I'm applying,
Mm-hmm.
which is a part of my original strategy in the first place. So yeah, enough of like the job stuff. I forgot to ask you this last episode, or even the episode before that, since this is episode 12 now, right?
Yeah. Episode 12.
Yeah, episode 12. That's a good milestone, bro. Episode
I guess
12.
so.
We've done it for 12. I'm gonna ask you this. I should have asked you this episode 10, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just how you feeling? Like, how does just looking back on this little baby step, 10 episodes in, first podcast.
Mm.
What's the experience been like?
Well, I'm becoming
Um,
more comfortable talking online, and I've reached a point where, because when we started, I don't really like to put myself out there, especially on a video, right? Um, but after a while, I became more comfortable with it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. And kind of like to add to what you just said earlier about getting better at, yeah, not thinking, but when it comes to um talking to someone, like, because that's always been my issue. And when I'm thinking and I'm trying to think about what I wanted to say, I think I've gotten better at that a little bit, right? Because there were days when, well, past podcasts, I guess, where I don't really know how to relate to the conversation or the topic because I haven't put much thought into it yet. And there are times when I'm talkative. Well, the reason why I'm talkative is because I've thought about these things before, and now I'm blabbering because I don't remember why the heck I'm talking about that.
well,
Uh,
I
well,
think
it's a slight
the
improvement, I
only
guess.
yeah, I don't think it's a slight improvement. I think it's a significant improvement as far as, especially for someone who's an introvert like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
being able to be comfortable with speaking online, putting this out for people to see. Granted, it's not we don't have a lot of audience, but there's still people that are listening, and for you to
Mm-hmm.
be comfortable with that, I'd say that's a big deal.
Like
12
it's a
episodes
step.
in.
It's a step. Whatever we're
12
doing right
episodes in.
now,
Yeah.
whatever we're doing right now adds to some. It leads to something, right?
Right.
I get that too.
Exactly.
I get that too.
And it's not what you
But
want. Go ahead.
oh no,
Okay. Well,
it has more to do with, and it's more personal. Like the gain is more personal on my end.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I agree. And it's also internally and externally. Externally meaning being able to level up in speaking and
Okay,
just being smooth when it comes to like, what we just talked
that's what I
about.
meant by internal, right? Because
Well,
we're developing a soft skill.
I'd say that's still external because you're speaking out loud. That's how I like
Okay, all right.
think
Anyways,
about it. Yeah. So internally, it's the way you frame your mind. You're able to, well, not so much you right now, but
Mm-hmm.
personally myself, I've gotten a lot better. I've gotten quicker with my thinking, transferring
Mm-hmm.
to my um, vocals, my words, like from thoughts to words. Thoughts. You said it yourself. You're still struggling with that, right?
Right. Right.
But
I do. I do. Yeah.
yeah, honestly, just from the outside looking in, I've
Mm-hmm.
seen I've seen a little bit of improvement in your end as far as
Thanks.
being able
But
to speak. But it's
yeah,
just, it's not like we're not doing this for that. It's just an added perk, like it gets, we naturally, like what you
mm-hmm.
said, when it comes to, if you keep doing something, you just naturally improve,
I'm gonna get
naturally
better
get
at it,
better at it.
and that's why I like doing this. And maybe that's selfish on my end because I'm doing that to, further develop my, um, I guess my social skills and conversational skills. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this thing, and has something to do with accountability too. Because how we talk about, what have you done this week? Right? What are you doing this time? Um, when we have, because then if you don't do anything, then what are you going? There's not much to talk about. You know what I mean? It's helping me
Like
personally, if
like
that
you
makes sense.
with your boring ass. No,
Well, if you want me
no,
to really tell you what I've been
no.
doing,
Oh
like I've
no,
been
no.
writing and drafting for an
It's
hour.
it's too early for a nap. I don't want to be put to sleep.
Right, exactly, exactly.
But when
Um,
you said something about being, just, you're doing this because of like self gain and self improvement. I mean,
yep,
we're the same. I'm the same thing. I'm doing this for selfish reasons. It's just
yep,
that it's a symbiotic, because we're both
hmm
doing it for us, but at the same time, it helps both of us by doing it together.
right.
So
And
it just makes perfect sense.
and we're not saying that to the audience so that the thing is like people, regardless if people care or not, I don't really care. I don't really care because I'm gaining a lot from it. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, but that's not me saying that you guys shouldn't listen to our podcast. We still want people to engage in what we're talking about. And I guess my hope is for everyone to, tell us what you guys think of the episodes, or what do you want more out of the podcast? Maybe that's something that we can tackle in the future. But for now, we're gonna keep practicing, and we're gonna
Yeah,
keep
and
putting in our reps.
we've expected this, and like what you said, we have been just putting in the reps. We've
Hmm
talked about this initially, even before we started, that yeah, at least get 10 episodes in, as far as getting comfortable with
hmm
being AK on camera.
Yeah, and talking,
So,
right?
and talking. So that's why I wanted to have this little milestone, since,
hmm
2 episodes later, but still, this is like, all right, so we've done this much.
hmm
Now let's set another goal.
hmm
You know,
Um,
I'm all about that goal setting. So
in terms of
what do you,
goals, I don't know. You tell me.
like,
So
my
this.
personal, like what I see what I see
Hmm
myself, like, goal wise? Yeah, just it's a lot of the same things. Like, the initial goals are not going to change, just that I'm going to add
Right.
more into it.
hmm
As far as other things, like, I'm improving when it comes to editing and
hmm
the post production stuff, like the technical stuff of it.
hmm
I like the fact that, you know this is obviously, like, personal for both of us. Like,
hmm
we don't really care. Not, I wouldn't say we don't care, like, how many people listen, but it's not like
It doesn't
it's
affect
not
us that.
it's not a livelihood.
Hmm
Is Yeah, but at the same time, I would like this is like a good sandbox for myself to be better with just marketing and all these little details, like ideas, like what we just talked about, like behind the scenes, what we talked about,
Yep.
my short-term plans, what I wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
for the podcast. Those are all like the next level goals that I want.
Right. And what I intend to do is you come up with a goal and I will support that, because right now I don't really um, have much other than to keep doing it and get better at talking. It's a very simple goal. When it comes to marketing and uploading and all that other stuff, yeah, because that's something that I think I can help you with, because I do the same thing for my articles, right? I don't know if you noticed, I created a new Instagram account there just for my blogging, because I'm experimenting as well. But in terms of marketing, entrepreneurship, and all that other stuff, um, I mean, I'm very deep in that world right now. I've been at it for, I'd say, a few years. Um, so yeah, I think that's something that I can help with. You set the goal, and then I can chime in and help us get there. That's that's what I think. That's how I'm going to put value into to this thing.
Also, another, I wouldn't say goal, but another thing that I'm excited about is the potential of future guests in later episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Since we've done 12 of these, 11, counting this, 12. We should be able to, I don't know, bring someone in for a little bit every once in a while. It doesn't have to be an every episode type thing. Maybe we'll bring a specific person for a specific what's in a box topic.
Yeah.
And we'll play along with that. It's just, it's a work in progress.
It's going to be an ongoing experiment. That's and somewhere from those experiments, you're gonna see which one works, and if that's working, then that's what we're gonna keep doing. But we're gonna keep experimenting. It's the exact same formula when it comes to trying to come up with a business idea, right? You're gonna keep experimenting. Try it, test it out.
Yeah, the main thing for me is this is fun. Like I'm having fun doing all this. Sometimes it's stressful, not stressful, but it's annoying as far as like a lot of like the back stuff, like the editing and all that. But this, I'm having fun with it, so I don't treat it like it's work. So I'm just enjoying.
That's good. That's good.
So that's why we're able to continue and be awesome at it.
Well, okay. I'm gonna have to admit this too. Like, you're probably doing 70% of the work, because I don't do video editing. I don't do any of that shit because it's the time constraint, right? And that's what I'm scared of, right? The more we do this, and if we do it longer, then that means there's a lot more editing that needs to be done on your end, and then I can't really help you out on that one, because just the time, I guess.
Well, it doesn't make sense. It kind of doesn't make sense to do. It's harder, especially since we're not in the same place anyways. It's just, it makes sense for the
time difference.
Well, no, it just makes sense for the post production to be with one person.
I guess so.
Like, so it's as far as like the present, it's okay. But yeah, anyways, that's enough of that. That was good. I think those are the goals.
Yep.
Short-term goals.
Yeah, so we hope that you guys do continue to support us, I guess.
Yes. We always
click on the like button and all that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we always leave it at the very end to do all this, but yeah, just we appreciate it. Okay, so I want to share with you what I've been doing, or what I'm planning on doing for this whole month of October.
Okay.
right? I don't know if you've seen Joe Rogan's the podcast, but like he does this with a bunch of his friends.
Yeah.
They call it like Sober October.
Mm-hmm.
So for the whole span of October, they abstain on, drinking, doing
Mm-hmm.
drugs, all that weird crap, and like being physical, like being active and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing for the whole October is I'm calling it. I should have done it in November, so it made more sense. Like no dinner November, but like no dinner October, basically is what it is.
Okay.
So the main thing that I'm abstaining is it's basically fasting. I'm fasting for the whole
Right.
October. I'm only gonna eat breakfast and lunch. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a shorter amount of time, maybe about 4 or 5 hours, and then maybe 6. And I would fast for the rest of the day for the whole
Intermittent fasting,
October.
right? I
Right.
and I thought about doing that because it's gotten to a point. Like there are times too when I find eating annoying for some reason, right? I don't
Yeah.
like. I'd
You
rather
really
do
kind
other
of
things than
don't.
eat.
Yeah. You kind of don't need. You don't need as much as you think.
Right.
You just need enough. And I mean, honestly, I've been doing this type of intermittent fasting on and off for the past since the whole entirety of this podcast. I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But for this whole month of October, I'm gonna do it every single day, no skipping, no
Mm-hmm.
cheats. Also, I'm gonna work out every single day for the whole month.
That's
So
a good
those
goal to
are
have.
yeah. So that's my goal for this month. I've
Yeah.
yeah, it's I
Keep
think I
going.
think it's doable. I think it's doable. And yeah, just I need to do something other than just trying to look for a job. My goal is to find a job, start working this month,
Mm-hmm.
and
There's a lot
finish
of
up some
waiting.
of my. Yeah, it's a lot of waiting. It's a lot of waiting, and that's the thing. Like, I don't want to spend time just playing games and all that stuff. That's a waste of time, bro. Like,
Whatever you're doing right now is what I've been doing too back when I was in Toronto. I
I
remember,
hate it.
but like I would still play video games, but there's a limit to it, right? It was. I'm kind of glad it happened though, because then like my routine was to get up in the morning, drink coffee, read, and then I would apply for a job. I would send a resume out, and then after that, I would head to the gym in the morning, work out, come home, have I don't know, like a salad or something, and then in the afternoon I would cook, like I pick up groceries every day. I don't stock up, and then also learn how to cook. So there's a lot of that. Um, if in some in summary, all what I did was I used that time to better myself while waiting. A lot of preparation. Like I don't really care if I get a, like I didn't want to waste all that time. Though I'm still playing, but not as much. So that's good. Though I can totally relate to what you're saying, and I think it's a good thing. It's what I would call a break because you're
A
trying
what?
to
Say it again.
a, a break, quote unquote. I guess.
A
Because
break.
then, because then this time you're focusing on getting better while waiting as opposed to being all worried and stuff that you're not going to get a job.
Hmm.
It's it's trying to
Yeah.
make use of the dead time, right?
Right.
To better
Right.
yourself.
And as far as like, I don't want to keep going back to the job because we've talked it
Uh-huh.
through a lot of times. But as long as you try to control the things you can control, like apply as much as you can,
Mhm.
polish the resume, which I still need to send you, and
Mhm.
just do your part. You should feel better about yourself because a lot of those things are the outside forces are not your control. It is not your control. Your job is to put yourself out there enough to have the opportunity for an interview, which ultimately what you can do. That's all you can do.
And all that development that you're doing, working out, it all builds confidence too. Hey,
It all
like
helps.
even
Yep, it all leads. It all leads to
they
that same thing.
they all add up. They all add up. So yeah, it's a good goal to have.
Yeah.
It,
So yeah.
I guess for me, I don't know. Like right now, I feel like I've either lost the hunger to get better, or maybe I'm just too exhausted. I don't know. Or maybe it's become normal, right?
I think you're just tired because you kind of did you were too extra for a little bit.
Well, I guess so.
You were a little extra.
But yeah, it see what you have right now is you're hungry for improvement in a job, and I'm blanking out again, but basically what I'm trying to say is you're ready to, you're on your way to go up.
I'm just ready for that next chapter. That's it. I'm like this player. Like, put me in, coach. Put me in. Like, I'm ready to play, basically. So, yeah, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good headspace. I love that. I love setting goals and just trying to get better at every single thing, man.
That's one thing that I want to get better at too. Setting goals. Again, it's a skill, by the way. Hey, setting goals. It's one thing
just the act of setting goals is an actual skill. You know what I mean? It's not everybody can just like, all right, sit down, like map these little things inside their head or writing them down. Not all people do that.
Like I would have like lists like this sometimes.
Just I mean, you're at a 10. I'm at a 5 when it comes to that. I'm not. See, I'm gonna admit something to you again. Like, I kind of stopped doing that journal thing because I just got lazy.
What?
But
it happened.
Yeah. Wait, it happens or what happened?
No, it happens. It happens.
Yeah. Especially if it's not a natural thing to do for myself. It's not my personality. I need to stay on top of it, get my thoughts in order. But
it's really just look at it as you studying yourself. But it's best to do it early in the morning. That's what I find. Sometimes you don't even know what to freaking write in there. But write what your thoughts are first thing in the morning, right? If you're thinking, I don't even know what the heck I'm doing today. Job again, right? Why do I think that?
I need to ask you this, since you've been doing this a lot. Whenever I write, for some reason, I tend to write stuff as if I have an audience. Does that make sense? Like, as if someone is going to read it. So I try to write.
That's weird.
I'm trying to write for entertainment. It sounds like it's entertaining instead of being more honest and just go straight to the point and be. Yeah, I'm more like flowery and like I'm writing like jokey like wordings. Does that make sense? It's like
kind of. But the moment
I'm sorry. Like, let me finish this. Like, I catch myself. I'm like, no one's gonna read this. Why am I presenting? Maybe it's just the way I talk. It's the same thing. The way I think.
That could be it. Or maybe because you know how you write songs. That's probably it too. Self-awareness. Then maybe you should, if that's what you're thinking, maybe whatever you're asking me right now, that's what you should ask in your journal. Why the fuck am I thinking this? And why am I doing this? Why do I? You're studying yourself. Whatever I've written, like I've written a lot of journals. I don't even look back at them.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, why should I do that since I'm not even gonna look back at it?
No.
What's the point?
It allows you to understand yourself better. There's a lot of aha moments. You know what I mean?
But how do you understand yourself if you don't go back to what you wrote? If you wrote it down, you
It when it comes to thinking, like sometimes we're wondering, okay, why am I thinking this way? So why am I thinking this way? Why? So you're
oh
writing all
okay
these things down, and as you write
okay
things down,
you answer the questions as you're writing it.
yeah,
If it's a question that you
right.
okay,
You
so
have
that
to
makes
pause
sense.
sometimes
Okay.
and think, and then you have to dig deep, and then you have to be self-aware. Like, why am I feeling this? It's coming from somewhere. Well, I don't know what it is, right? So then you just keep on writing because you're not if you're not gonna you might not get there or you'll get there. But the fact that you're trying to dig deep and understand why you're thinking is a good practice. It builds it's really self-awareness, right? Um,
Mm,
it
good good
you're
advice. Good
going
advice.
you're going for the realizations while you're writing. You don't realize when you go back. No, what you're after is the realizations that you're going to come up with while you're writing. You don't go back. Whatever you've
Mm,
written
mm.
probably doesn't even it probably doesn't mean anything anymore. Because who you were
Oh, okay.
yesterday, you're different today, right? It's the realizations like that you're after. That's how I see it. Kind of like when you're taking a
Okay.
shower.
So it's kind of like, you know how people do like recordings like January 8th, blah blah
I
blah.
don't know. I haven't met
It's
anyone
kind of
who does that.
well,
Because I'm more of like I'd rather write
yeah.
than talk. But then maybe that
Mhm.
works too.
But it's the same thing. It's just a different medium. Is what I'm
Yep.
trying to say.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered that whenever I write, because the couple of times that I've done it, I actually went back and like read some of it, and
Hmm.
I was just laughing. I was like, why, why, why was I writing this as if like what I said, like
Yeah.
who was I trying to make? Like, who was trying to make laugh? Who was trying to? It's like I'm trying to
There you
like
go. And
present it as a joke, but like no one's reading it but me. But I guess it's for me because when I reread it, I laughed. I don't know.
right. Well, and sometimes I'd go back to them. Sometimes, most of the time, I don't. It it, it it's really just a tool for you to get things out of your head. You know, there's a lot of realizations that come from it, right?
Do you have like privacy like issues? Like that's another thing sometimes why I don't want to do it because I'm a very messy person. And
Mm-hmm.
if I write a lot in like journals and books,
Mm-hmm.
there's a high chance that I might misplace that thing
Mm-hmm.
and leave it somewhere. And to have a lot of personal stuff just lying around, I don't know, like I feel kind of weird about that. That
Well,
someone might just read it and then I
well,
don't know.
do they even know that that's Ralph?
I don't know.
There you go. And if it matters that much, I don't think you're gonna be careless anyways, right?
No, you'll be surprised. I've been
Well, I
leaving a
don't
lot
know.
of things that I hold important. So it's I
But you
can't
know what I
say.
mean, right? It
No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're
even my
saying.
fiance had a chance to. I didn't want to. I didn't want
Yeah.
her to read my journal, but we've got into a fight one time, and I'm like, and she wanted to read those stupid fucking journals. It became hard for me because
Hmm.
then when she
Hmm.
read it, she saw who like. I felt like I'm naked. Like you have
Right.
you've seen who I am. No fakes here.
Ooh, let's present. Okay, this is a really good question. Okay, do you think that that's too much? First of all, for not just yours, but like someone's significant other
Hmm.
to ask to read your personal journals?
No, she didn't really
Is
ask for
that
it. I think I offered. I was the one who offered it. We got into an argument one time, and she know, and
okay?
the point has less to do with sharing something personal. The point is you're sharing something that you deeply value, right? It has less to do with the contents, but more of what that thing
So
means to you.
it's the symbol symbolizes how much you trust the
Right,
person
right.
by
Yeah,
you know.
less to do with content. She could care less what the heck what's in the content, but the fact that you're willing to give that says something. That's how I look at it. I was the one who
Hmm.
offered it in the first place. I'm like
Okay,
this, like
okay.
if there's a slight chance of me lying, or if if I'm doing things that doesn't align with my actions, well then I'll tell, like, whatever's in here is who I am 3 years ago, who I was 5 years ago. So
Yeah,
she,
because I would say that. I'm sorry. Go. You want to finish your
no, no,
point
no,
before
go ahead.
I'm gonna say that that's a very tricky lane
It is, it
to
is.
be on because there's there's not really a one right thing
Mm-hmm,
because if you say no, I don't want to share this to my significant other because
mm-hmm,
this is me, this is my soul, this is
mm-hmm,
very important.
mm-hmm.
You could argue for both sides. You could
Of
argue that
course, of course.
you're supposed to share every single thing
No,
with your significant other, but at the same time, on the other side of the argument,
mm-hmm,
you have the right to prefer privacy, and you have the
right.
right to say, "This is my space. I
Mm-hmm,
don't invade yours."
mm-hmm,
So I would appreciate it and respect that, for you to respect my privacy. So
mm-hmm. It's tricky.
uh,
It's tricky, right? It really
yeah,
depends on I guess the partnership between the two of you, right? Because with us,
there's no wrong or right like lane.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
As long
in
as you're
this,
doing it for the right, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, not like
yeah, it's not like
I'm not, yeah, I'm not gonna let you read this because you're gonna see how I'm cheating on you, type thing. So
right, right,
that's a whole different situation.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm the only again, it's an act of how much I trust you, as opposed to it has less to do with the details. But she probably doesn't even remember anything that's in there. Because a lot of it is just me blabbering too. Why am I thinking this way? Well, then
I
I'm thinking
wanna,
this way because I slept late last night. Is it because, I got into argument with this person? A lot of it has something to do with
yeah,
work, right?
I wanna share this quick little story real quick. Okay, so the last time I went on vacation in the Philippines,
Uh-huh.
my tita and my lola were in the,
Mm-hmm.
I went with my lola. So I guess I did have a journal or a diary
Mm-hmm.
one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to hang out with like Bejo and Nico and
Mm-hmm.
everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Came back home
Mm-hmm.
to find out my Lola and Tita was snooping on my diary. I was livid. I was so mad.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what in the heck are y'all I think, oh, I don't know why I forgot this because I
Mm-hmm.
guess this is why I don't do it because I don't be
Probably.
trusting these people. And this
But
was just like 10 years
and
ago.
and that's a good question to ask yourself. Like, why? That's all what a journal's for. Why am I thinking
Yeah,
this?
I guess so.
There are days when I don't really have nothing on there. Like if I'm tired, I'm just gonna say I'm tired. This shit needs to end. Okay. So how am I gonna end it? I don't know. And that's what you need to figure out. You're not gonna figure it out by um you don't necessarily need to put answers on the journal. You could just ask questions. Why am I thinking this? You might not get an answer, but it pushes you to think about um, you know, why you're thinking, and why you're doing what you're doing. There's a lot
That
of
makes sense.
yeah, it's kind of like talking to us, not a psychiatrist, but I don't know, a psychologist or a therapist, right?
The therapist.
All they do is listen. That's what a journal is. It's a therapy, right? You just you just you just talk to it through written words. And let's say if you're stressed out about something, you're bummed out about something, you just write it down instead of trying to feel like, let's say if I bombed an interview, I'm going to write down, okay, so how did that happen? Why did it happen? What I could have done to, so that it doesn't happen again. That kind of stuff. And then you try to answer it. And then while you're answering those questions, you 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 understand yourself better as to why you're doing what you're doing and why you did what you did. And how do you come up with, a solution when it happens again? And it's a lot of there's a lot of thinking happening in there when you're writing, which is why I like journaling. I even tried to get my fiance to get on that too, but it's different. What I've given her is different. Mine is for figuring out myself, but for her it's more like I don't know if you've heard of 5 minute journal. It basically just talks about what are the things that happened today that you're happy with, right? It helps you reflect back. It's a reflection. That's all it is. And who cares with the privacy and all that? At the end of the day, your life is not as interesting as the person reading it. You know what I mean? Like, to you, whatever content you put on there is important, is private and all that. But the person who's reading it might look at you differently. If they, get a chance to read who you really are, they're probably gonna go, "Oh shit, this is him." So whatever I'm seeing now is really a result of, this experience, that experience. This is what he's thinking. This person's real. Whatever's in that journal is real. It's not fake. It's the real you at that period, that period in time or at that moment. So again, it's okay. And if anything, the person will probably respect you too from reading that content. It takes guts.
Nah,
I don't know.
I don't want no one reading my stuff. Heck no. Like, that's for me.
Well, not yet, but I know, but like, I hold privacy. Like I'm a very very private person too. But then again,
you see, okay.
I never thought of. Go ahead. Sorry, excuse me.
There's some things that I'm not, like, I'm very, when it comes to songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's my medium.
Right.
I want to be able to open myself up through like art and music. But as far as like what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that's very private, and I don't want no one like reading my stuff.
Well, then that's a question you need to ask yourself, right?
That's
I
between
know
me and my dog.
it's very private.
Yeah.
Why can't you put it down, right? You could leave the world today and no one would have ever known who you really are. Like, I'm not doing that again. You're not using the journal to it's not something to go back to, right? When you're in trouble or something. It's really just to dump your thoughts. It's that's all it is. It's not what you think it is right now. It's not something it's not for other people's consumption. It's for you. And that's why it's real, because the only reader is you. No one else. The journal that you're doing is kind of like what I'm doing with my weekly post on Facebook, where I'm just writing stuff down for other people's consumption. Like, if people doesn't care, I'm not even going to write it down, because you can only put so much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, the way I'm writing is kind of like, because you have you have readers, and I don't have, but like, I write it as if I have one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is why the fact that you notice that it doesn't make sense where you're writing it. Well, in fact, it makes sense, right? It makes sense why it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be treated that way. One, go.
All right. What's in the box? Is that what it is? What's in the box?
Sure.
What's in the box? Go dig. Put your little tiny T-Rex hands in the box. What do we got? What do we got for this week?
What do we have today? I was gonna say tonight
So,
or today, but whatever. Or in this episode, or let's talk about. I don't know if you remember back in elementary where when no not where when the teachers are trying to, you know how they teach you how to plant, um to do some planting and stuff. You would have to I can't remember what this thing's called, but you would use this to um I'm blanking out, to tend the soil
is
or
it
something.
is it kind of like home ec or
Yeah,
ec?
home
Because
educate.
we don't
Yeah, but
because we don't keep going.
yeah, you have to be more specific though, like home education. Is it called home
No, no,
education?
no, no. Home ec, like
The
home ec.
home
What we
economy? I don't know what the
home
heck is.
economics?
I don't know.
You didn't have
Hold
home
on,
ec
what's
when you
no
went to high school up in Canada? You didn't have that?
no no. That's the reason why we're talking about this, because back then, this was back in when we were in grade 3, grade 4, where you had to, you know, grab a pail of water and water the plants, right?
Yeah.
But before that, they teach you how to, plant seeds as well, and basically how to plant a plant, if that even makes sense, or how to plant vegetables. I don't know
Was
if
it
you remember.
vegetables or was it like tree? Like an actual
Man, it
tree?
wasn't tree. I
You
don't think it's
sure?
tree. Yeah. What do you call that thing? Like oops. Um
Well, you're doing a really bad job of explaining all this.
exactly.
While you're
This
doing
is
that,
this is one of those things where when you have to do it on the spot, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to think of terms or thinking of ways to describe it, but I'm really do but basically it's planting, right? They teach you how to do some planting, or how to plant vegetables. That's basically it. That, and they teach you like basic home stuff, such as
so
cooking.
yeah, so kind of like home ec, which is
I've never had, see, this is the thing. Like, I've never had home ec when I moved here to Canada. So maybe you can
mm,
describe more of, I don't know, I guess your experience.
well, I can't because I didn't go to I didn't have to go to high school, but
Oh, I see.
I know well enough that there was a home ec
Let me look.
class. I'm not sure if it's still present, but I know for a fact there was back in the day. Um,
Let me look it up real
just
quick.
yeah, well, just to piggyback on what you're saying, or what's in the box for this episode for this week. Um, it was just looking back at that because we did a lot of like weird like extracurricular, like we were cleaning a lot. We were doing like weeding out stuff. We're like gardening and stuff like that. Do you remember all those little weird stuff?
See, that's the simplest way of describing it. Gardening.
Gardening, right?
That's what it
Yeah.
is. So it's all part of gardening, right? Like you'd plant vegetables. That's how I'm describing this whole thing. I can't even remember what we planted, but it's not a tree.
What was the point of all that? Do you even get grades? Were we graded, or was it just like a Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi type thing? Like,
I
yeah,
this is
you wax
That's the
on, you
reason why
wax off.
I have no idea. But it it's I wouldn't call it pointless. It's really, I think it's good in a way, because they're teaching you the basic stuff, right? But it's not like you're gonna remember everything that you learned back when you're that young. Back then you didn't care. I guess it was fun. Um, but I find it really, it adds to the experience, or the color of life. Like if something was to happen, let's say, COVID, or, you know, it teaches you how to, I guess if robots were to take over the world, and you, these days it's hard um, to practice those skills because you don't need to. If you need something to eat, you go to the grocery store, you buy it, right? But what if there's no grocery store? What if you live in a small town? Kind of like um, I don't watch
Well,
The Walking Dead, but you know what I mean. Like you have to learn to kind of how to take care of yourself. Just basically being resourceful.
you have to think about it. If you lived at a small town, you probably already know how to do those things just by requirement. A lot of
Probably.
okay, so here let's unpack this. Here's my problem with those quote unquote classes that we
Mm-hmm.
had. Okay, how do you fit that into an academic setting? You
You
know,
can't.
because being in school, you have to have this set up to where you learn something, and at the end of the day, there is a test to where it it basically asks you or lets you
Mm-hmm.
like test you, see if you know it, and then that's how you pass or you fail.
Mm-hmm.
I've I don't remember. I don't
You
recall
don't get
any of the. I don't
you
recall
don't
any of that.
you're not gonna
Like
get
we didn't.
tested on this though because it's not
Yeah, yeah,
academics, right?
obviously.
It's not
Okay, so
academics, right?
yeah, that's my point. That's my point. Where did it fall as far as which class it was? Because was it just like a filler? Like we had a break and they just let us do it?
Do you remember doing
I
that though? Do you remember? Do you remember? Um,
to be
it,
honest with you,
Probably not, eh?
no.
I can kind of tell, like with the way you're responding right now,
Yeah, it's not.
it's not clicking.
Maybe maybe I skipped class that day.
I doubt it.
Well,
Like back in elementary,
well,
it's hard to skip classes, right?
I do remember in fifth grade, Mom Bautista made us like bunot and clean this one little room in the corner. It was in our classroom because like we had. It
Oh,
might have been her office.
I know that room that you're talking about. That no one really goes there. That's where they keep all the trophies and stuff.
Is that what it? Yeah, whatever room that
It's
is. Like
called they call it the it's either a rec room or a red room. I think it's red, not rec. It's not recreational,
red room kind of sounds familiar, so that
right? I
might have
think
been
it's
it
red room.
because it was
Why
kind
is
of
it
painted
red?
red.
Why is it red? I don't know.
It was kind of. I knew this. The floor was kind of reddish. It's like burgundy, and we had
Well, it's
to.
probably red because of the floor wax, right? That you use. I don't know if you remember back in the day.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I
it's
know. That's
red,
what we
right?
did.
Call it
That's what we did. Yeah, we had to put the floor wax, and then we bunot. We had to
right.
do the that
Might wanna
that I
tell
remember.
what is bunot? Um,
Okay,
for people who doesn't know what bunot is.
bunot is basically a tool that
You have to
the
go.
Filipinos used to scrub floors to make them shiny. But the interesting part about the bunot is what it is. So it's
Mhm.
basically from a coconut shell, right?
Dried
It's like
coconut
the
shell.
actual like a dried coconut shell. You split
Yeah.
that in half, and that you can use two bunots from those things. And the way you do it is your leg, you just put you put your foot on it, and then you try
It's
to
basic. It's
swing back
like
and forth.
it works like a scrub because when you cut the coconut shell in half, you'd have those little fibers, right, in there. So now when that all dries up, when it's all dried up, that's what serves as your brush that polishes the floor. I don't know if you're catching my drift here,
No,
but
that's a better
that's how I think that's how it works.
that's a better
Uh,
explanation. But
but
okay.
coconut shell. If you're still not getting it, might as well just go to Google. It probably can explain it to you better. But anyways, that's what we use to um, polish the floor.
Mhm.
Yeah, we did. Going back to the conversation, yeah, there was a red room where they would ask you to clean that. I'm not quite sure if we do it every day, but that's part of being in elementary too, back in Kamiling, where we grew up. I don't know if they've done that in other cities. You know what I mean? If you grew up in Manila,
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
if they've done
sure.
any of that
Well,
stuff, right?
I'm not. not so sure about like the cities, but I'm pretty sure like little towns and all
Right.
that is probably the same.
Well, you have to scrub the floor and well, you have to sweep the floor and stuff too, right? Like every day, they put you. I remember
They
they put
put you
us
to
in little
work.
groups, right? Yeah,
Yeah, they put you to work. Things that modern people here that go to school won't even like they can't even think about that. Like
right.
it's not it'll be like when we told them
It's
what
too
we did in
foreign for them.
elementary, yeah, it's just like what y'all like cleaned? Y'all cleaned your own room?
Oh yeah.
But to just kind of change it up a little bit, do you remember in fifth grade? It might have been either fourth grade, sixth grade, either, but fifth grade, we used to buy like ice candy, or
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
juice from like Madame Bautista, from Mom
yeah,
Bautista.
yeah. Well,
Yo,
again,
that
when you say ice candy, like it's how would you describe that? It's basically a you you
it's
you you
it's a popsicle.
right, but that's not popsicle though. This is like homemade popsicle, right?
No, it's
It's not
melted
popsicle.
popsicle. It's melted popsicle.
It's more like a frozen juice that was stored in a very small um uh plastic bag, if that makes sense. It's a skinny plastic bag. It's a
And
frozen
it's
juice.
kind
That's
of
what it
yeah,
is.
it's kind of shaped like a. When I say popsicle, I didn't mean like the actual popsicle.
Because
There's yeah, I
that's
forgot
what I'm
this
picturing when you
brand.
say popsicle.
Yeah, I forgot. There's this brand on like you can just go to the store and
Oh,
stuff. I forgot
freezies,
what
you
it's called,
mean?
but yeah, it's
Talking
like
about freezies?
it look. I don't know what it's called, but it looks just like an iced candy. You wanna like search it and screen share
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Just a sec.
Not the freezy, but the ice candy for real.
Well, it looks like
Or
freezies. Let
we don't
me.
care about no freezy. Like I want to see the real thing.
How do I even share my screen? Oh, there it is.
You did it before.
Yeah. See that? It's just freezies.
I said go look at iced candy.
What
No freezy. We don't care about that. Yeah,
the
do
heck
the
is
ice
ice
candy.
candy? This
Yeah,
is ice
no, no,
candy, right?
but
That's ice
yes,
candy.
sir. That's what I'm
But
talking. Hey,
so now, if
go
you're
look
looking at
at
this,
go
how
look.
would you describe that? It's in a
Yeah,
little plastic
look,
bag,
it's
frozen juice,
mango ice candy. Oh my God, that sounds good.
right? So this is what we're talking about when you say ice candy.
Yeah. Also, go search the buko. I mean buko. Bunot.
Oh, bunot.
What flavor is that? The one that's you showed. Yeah, there you go.
This is bunot, and
Yeah, so that's what it looks like
it's a
for,
dry coconut shell cut in half, and this is
what
where the fiber that I'm
you could
talking about. That's
you could have picked at like multiple pictures that look better, and you had to pick this weird looking one. Okay.
well, that's not the bunot that we're talking about. I just found that funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here.
So
So now,
yeah,
like
there
it's
you
showing
go.
that it's on the floor. That's what you would use to, well, scrub and polish the floor, I guess.
hmm You can also use your hands, but usually people do it standing. So you use your legs, your
Because
foot.
if you use your hands, you're gonna break your back. It's again, it's not something that even people in the
Yeah.
Philippines today are probably familiar with, or
All
maybe
right.
you are if you grew up in a
You,
small town. I'm gonna
you can
stop sharing.
unshare it. Yeah.
Um, stop share. Yeah. Yeah. Back then we used to do all of that,
hmm
and it's interesting because now we have a story to go back to, right? Well, I can always tell that story to other people. Because you can't even most people can't even imagine it. But even I like that I've done those things, right?
Yeah. I don't
Um,
even remember. Talk to me more about the gardening stuff because I really don't remember.
you
Like
really don't remember that? Well, you
Yeah,
have to like
tell me one story.
tell you one story. There was that
Hmm.
one time, I think it was one of our friend Bejo, and I don't know if you remember Mark Hill. Remember them getting into an argument because you, you know how, remember, no, it's not oil. You, you know oil containers, right? Those little, it's not a jug, but those oil or vinegar containers, 2 liter
Hmm.
containers, right? That has a handle.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, back in the day, what we do is we cut the opening. We would cut that off and use that as a pail. I remember back in the day, Bejo and Mark Hill got into an argument because I think Bejo hit him with it. This was
Hmm.
during while we're well,
We were like watering them, right?
watering the yeah watering
I
the
think I
plants.
remember this. I think I remember this.
And then I
Okay.
remember and then back then you'd also have to use a water pump. That's what you'd use to
Hmm.
grab some water. So we did all that back then, and but that's the only thing that I remember though, because we rarely do it. I don't think we did that every day. But I think there was just we probably do it once a week. I can't remember exactly, but I remember doing
Hmm.
that. I remember
Yeah.
our yeah, they taught us how to, how right in front of I think it was in grade 4. Um, were you already with us in grade 4, CCES, or probably in grade 5, eh? You,
I have such bad memories. Yeah, I've been since the second grade.
oh, second grade. So then,
Yeah,
remember Madam
no.
Kalaikai, right? Like across her room?
Well, third and
That's where
fourth
you do all
grade.
the,
Third and fourth grade, I was section two,
oh,
and then I went back
then
to
you became
section
smarter,
one.
right?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. I mean, Bejo and I were in the same course. We both went up to
Oh, okay. Because I
yeah.
remember it's right across the room. That's where you do all the planting and watering and all that stuff. That's
Mm.
where all the plants are. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just find it very interesting, and the fact that you're not remembering it probably is pointless for me to bring it up. Because probably like I have no recollection of what the heck happened back then. But we did that.
Well, now that you've talked a little bit more, I kind of remember, but it's kind of spotty. I remember
It yeah,
here and there.
it's the same thing with me. It's just that like the basic idea of it is we've done that, and this was during our at a young age our teachers taught us how to do that, and I find that to be valuable,
Do
non-academic.
you wait? So do you think that it might have been actual home ec? Now that I think about it, I think that might have been our
Probably.
class. Yeah, because
I can't remember.
it's Mrs. Kalaikai who taught it, right? Do you remember if she
Well, back in the
Miss
Philippines, there's
Mom
only
Kalaikai?
one. I think there's only one teacher for everything. Like,
No, because we had to go to this other place to go to do all that stuff. Because I remember now, okay, now it's coming back to me. Because we also did like cross stitch and all that stuff, like sewing,
right, right. Yeah, we
and
did
it's
some
from
sewing as well.
it's all from the same class.
I
Like
guess so.
they're all from the same.
I,
Because
I,
I oh my gosh, now it's flooding in. I remember we had one project, and I don't know if we all had to do cross stitch or it was like a
I
choice.
did
Either
some
you do
cross stitch.
that,
I still remember what I did. Like, I think I was
yeah.
cross
You
stitching a
remember?
Garfield. That's what I did. I don't know what you did on your for your
It,
project.
it
I
wasn't
remember doing that.
Garfield, but it was some kind of cartoon. It might have been like Snoopy or something. But yeah, I remember that. I remember going to like the palenque and we had to buy like different color
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
threads, and then you would go like, oh man, I remember this
Yeah,
crap. Oh
you had to print out a design, and then there's like
yeah, and
different
you had
codes for the colors.
yeah, yeah.
I remember
What was
doing
that?
that.
What was that all about?
It was just fun, I
what,
guess.
what was that? What did we learn from
Or
that?
sewing, right?
Yeah,
I remember them teaching us that too. And I still use some of them sometimes if needed. Like if I
it's
rip my shirt or
actually
something. It's
yeah,
it's
it's
good.
actually looking at it now from like a therapy point of view, it's actually really good because it helps with your fine motor skills as a kid, and
Yeah.
that helps you, which I guess even if that's not the real reason why they did it, it's definitely like a plus. So
Yeah.
that worked
Even
out.
cooking, right? Like we had cooking contests too back then.
This I don't remember.
Well, I remember I was never part of the cooking contest, but I remember us cooking something.
We actually cooked
Um,
something,
yeah. I don't
bro.
know.
We
Like
need.
there's this thing called I still remember it, one dish meal or something, where all the different types of not all different types of food, but basically whatever's in that meal is everything that you need to be healthy. You have your go, glow, and grow foods. If you remember that.
Oh my god.
You're not remembering
Give
any of these, eh?
no. I remember the go. What
Go,
go
grow,
glow
go,
and go.
grow, and glow.
There's some like 1960s type of BS right here.
Well, that's
What?
right. That's
What?
right.
It's not. It's not even the pyramid. It's worse. Like I don't. How do
I don't
you
even know what the
remember
fuck
all
that
this?
pyramid you're talking about, but it's
You
go,
don't
grow,
know
and
the
glow.
pyramid?
No,
You don't know the pyramid? I'm pretty sure the pyramid is a lot more universally known than whatever the hell that is.
I
Go
have
grow
never heard of
glow.
the food pyramid, but I know go, grow, and glow. I know meat, eggs, and a glass of
All
milk
right,
is your
all right,
grow.
all right. Go Google this crap real quick. Let's go look at that.
And then I
Yeah,
remember I remember that, and then for glow, I think they're vegetables. And go, not quite sure
I
what
guess
go is.
I guess go is for I guess carbs since for energy or protein like
Maybe
meat. Cause
that's
okay,
I think that's
go
grow. There's
go is
protein.
energy. Go is energy. Grow is for
I think it's protein,
obviously
right?
growth. Yeah, and then glow is probably like for
Probably
healthy.
fruits. Yeah,
I don't
I
I
don't know
don't
either.
freaking know.
But I remember those. Go, grow, and glow.
That's so weird. Just a sidebar real quick before we continue. This type of what's in a box we need like I guess because because we
Well,
need like three people to talk
right.
about this. I don't remember. I Do you remember this one little spot in the back? We used to do this when we were like the lower grades. When we used
Hmm.
to like gargle like fluoride.
Well, that's where you do all the planting and all that stuff, right?
I don't know. I just know this one
Right.
place where
Oh,
we
I
did
remember
we
that too. Like
gargled and
they teach us how to brush our teeth and everything. Like there's a fluoride event where you have to
this is
keep the
such third
fluoride
world.
in.
This is so third world. Just not thinking about it. Like they made us go in the back and we would just gargle like fluoride and they
Yeah,
would teach us how to brush our teeth. Like
that's right.
just think about
Or
that.
or
They
they
would teach
get
us to brush our teeth
or they
in
get it.
school.
Well,
Like what? I don't know.
it's not.
I don't
Well,
know.
it's not like our parents are teaching us how to brush our teeth properly though. Because look what happened to my teeth. Like I think I scrubbed all my gums, so now like my gums are what you would call this. Like it's not as it's not as healthy as they would have been if I started brushing my teeth properly. You know what I mean? Like if you
How
scrub
much you
it
want
too
to bet?
hard.
How much you want to bet? You didn't need to go do all that for you to
I know,
learn.
but
You can learn.
I'm just making the point that
Come on, come on, buddy.
maybe they did all those things to educate the kids and instill it in them and make sure that you know they they they, that they know how to brush their teeth properly because no one's really teaching us how to do that.
So I guess this is a better title for this. What's in a box? Just like third world, growing up in a third world, going to a
Right.
third world country school and like just
In a
experiencing.
small town, not even in the city. Like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
like
in a
yeah,
small town. Like
it's
all these little weird. Do you remember any other like weird stuff?
of course, like remember how they would gather us all together in one classroom, not even a class, a room, and we would watch TV, like a TV show.
Oh, like Cine Escuela.
Yeah. And then they
See,
like I think
that I remember that.
they test us on it too, I think, or something, or they quiz us.
Well, that I'm not as surprised because I've seen people do that, like
Hmm.
even here.
Here?
Yeah, like they would go like a video room, so it's not as it's not that
Yeah,
bad.
like I'm talking about like a small TV though. It's not like it's not. I can't
Well,
remember actually.
that's what we got, bruh. We
But
if
but the
you had like a 16, 18, 17 inch TV back in the day, you was a baller.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
you had some money.
flat screen didn't exist back then.
No, heck no. We got those. Did you? I don't know if you were not young, but old enough, or your memory was is better for you to remember this. Remember those old school TVs that you had to like turn with a,
Oh yeah,
like a pliers, and
yeah.
then it's like a
I thought it's
whole big.
it's a rotary switch.
Yeah, it's like the old school
Oh,
television.
like the table slash TV.
Yeah, it's like it's built. It's so huge, and
Uh-huh.
it's got like a speaker on both
Built into it.
sides. Yeah, and then you can actually there's a little plastic curtain that you can
I
close the.
remember those. I think we had one of those, but the TV's already broken. We just used it as a table.
Oh, okay. Well, ours. I remember when I was really young. Ours was still working for a little bit, and then it was gone.
Yeah, I remember, like even with the antennas back then, right? Like you had those two little wires that you'd hook up, yeah, into your TV.
Yeah.
And if it's raining, you get bad reception. I
Oh yeah.
remember all that. I remember.
Like a clear signal is not even really clear. It's
No,
barely okay, and like it's not HD. It's not 1080p. It's not even. I don't even think it's 360 360p.
I have no
It's
idea. Yeah, no,
it,
not at all. No.
everybody's just spoiled nowadays. But anyways, going back to like the school stuff. What else do I remember? I remember we would always go outside every morning and do the Bayang
Mm.
Magilio.
The national,
Pana,
like we would sing the
pana,
national anthem,
yeah. What is this again? The is it
kind of like
Panatang
an oath taking. Yeah, Panatang Makabayan.
Panatang Makabayan?
Mm-hmm.
How do you say that? Do you remember
Panatang
Panatang
Makabayan.
Makabayan?
Inibig ko ang Pilipinas. Ito ang aking lupang sinilangan. I remember
Holy
some of
crap,
it.
bro!
Ito ang tahanan ng aking lahi. Right?
Ito ang tahanan ng aking lahi sa.
Ako'y kanyang kinupkop at tinulungan or something. Hoping maging malakas. Oh,
Are you looking
I'm
it
just
up?
blabbering. No, I'm
Uh,
not looking it up.
uh,
But you see, they make you recite those words every day, so it sticks. You do that every day, right?
Do that every day, and
Uh,
we would do a little bit of exercise, and
yeah,
you would have like the models that would go up, and they would
yeah,
show us.
right.
And
How to do
if
it?
yeah, if you were a model, you were kind of like, oh, cool,
What
you
do you
made
mean
it.
model? Like if you're in
Like
front of
if you
everyone
went up,
at the stage.
yeah, if you model up top, that means you're kind of like elementary celebrity.
And they'd have a
Because
drum, right? They beat a drum every time you make that motion.
dude, dude, I just remember that. I remember we would all just like mess around in the back. We would all just like
Well, that's the
laugh
thing.
and
Like you guys get to do that in the back, but I'm in the front. Like I had to like fucking act it out, and I had to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get caught, and I might get in trouble. But I always felt lame doing those exercises. And we're talking about doing this, eh? Dig, 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 dig,
yeah,
dig, dig, dig,
and then
dig.
you would do like you do this.
uh,
It was so weird.
yeah, it's And everyone in that school is doing it.
We would still do it in high school, but I think it was like every Monday only.
There's no exercise though. I'm
Yeah,
talking
there's no exercise, but just the
national anthem,
the
right?
Bayang Magiliw, yeah.
Yeah. I remember doing that. You're like,
Oh,
even
and
here.
then yeah. And then
Yeah.
the meets the green fields along the highway.
That's the anthem.
Among the verdant rolling hills.
Yeah.
Remember?
I remember.
Stately stands our alma mater. That's
I
all I
don't
got.
remember. I don't remember the lyrics because I never cared. I was just.
I didn't either. I don't know. I guess I just remembered it.
Yeah. I would just hum it. I
Yeah.
didn't have to try back then because I don't think I was the shortest. I think Jessimar was shorter than me back then in high school.
Your best friend.
Yeah. Was got like Gossip Girl, right?
Yeah, both of y'all. Y'all ran the gossip column of the high school. Anyways, this is for a different conversation. Let's concentrate on just elementary and all
third
that.
world. Yeah. What's it like to go into an elementary school in a small town in a third world country, right? So, so yeah, it's very interesting. And we're talking about not today. We're talking about back in the 90s. Back in the 90s when Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys were very popular.
I like how Spice Girls the first thing that came out of your mind. Okay.
Was that? Well, that's the first thing. Yeah. Well, they were pretty famous back then. Boy bands.
But here, this is another one that boggles my mind, and I'm gonna ask you, what did we do for lunch? Because I don't have any memory of lunch. Did we go home?
We had to go home for lunch.
How do I not remember this?
I don't know. Like we would take the same tricycle, go back home, and then head back to school again after.
That is weird, right? Think about it now. Like the kids went home for lunch. What about the people who were like really far away? I wonder what they did.
They brought their own lunch.
And they just
heat it at school. No microwaves, eh? They just heat it up in the sun because it's really hot, and they just let the heat of the sun do the work. I'm fucking kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they just they left it out in the Tupperware, or not even a Tupperware, but one of those like Star margarine like cans. That's the Tupperware back in the day.
Yeah. What's the thing? When you say Tupperware, it's a brand. It's a plastic container, right?
Yeah, it is not.
They're all recycled, but kind of like Colgate, right? What's your?
What's your pabili nga po ng Colgate.
Or like everything's klaseng Colgate? Happy or close up?
or pabili po ng Sunsilk. Sunsilk nga. It's like, is it cream silk or sunsilk or head and shoulders? No, kahit ano, sunsilk. Like, what in the heck? Like, why are we so dumb? Why are we so stupid back in the day?
Well, we never cared. Like, this is...
And that's the thing. It's not just us. It's like everybody does that.
No, I guess so.
Everybody does that.
Like, certain brands made their way into... they became the thing, but that's how brands work sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my mom would call a refrigerator Frigidaire. She doesn't call it Frigidaire. And then moving here to Canada, I realized that there's a brand called Frigid Air.
Yeah.
It's a brand.
Even here, people call it's the fridge. It's the same thing.
Well, but that's for a refrigerator though. But I'm talking about a brand, Frigid Air.
Frigidaire. Frigidaire.
Frigidaire.
Is it Frigidaire? Frigidaire?
Look it up. It's a brand. It's Frigid Air.
Frigid Air.
It's.
You don't call it Frigid Air, bruh. You gotta say it in the mother tongue. You gotta say Frigidaire.
Frigidaire.
Kuha ka nga ng ice candy sa Frigidaire.
But anyways, um, that's our random
That's our little thing.
yeah
Yeah.
for this episode.
Yep.
Um,
Are we good?
I think we're good. I think we're gonna wrap it up here, and we'll pick it back up again next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Where they can find you? Where can the people find you?
you guys can find me at reyesrjt.com, and that's where you'll see well pretty much anything about me, I think.
And you can honestly, if you're listening to this, please, thank you for listening. But please, just like and subscribe the YouTube channel and it's the Instagram Balikbayan Box Pod. That's it. Like you can find both of us in those things, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of find your way there. But like main thing is just yes, like watch, subscribe, support. If you guys like what you're hearing, if you guys don't like what you're hearing, just let us know. If you hate
Yeah,
if you hate both of us talking, just tell us to shut up. Put it in the
right,
comments.
right.
Anything.
Yeah, just anything, just any attention.
we
We want
crave
it. We want
the attention. Yeah, but but yeah. So yeah, we like I said, thank you guys for listening. We're here, and we'll see you guys next episode.
All right, guys. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao, baby.